Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lady Jane's Salon. I'm Ron Hogan, and I'm thrilled to have a bunch of romance writers and actually some other writers with us here tonight as well. Um, usually we do this at Madam X in Lower Manhattan, but obviously we can't do that this month. So we've started doing these online, sort of putting the Zoom call together and getting it all in place. And so we have three writers today that you're going to love to hear from. But before we get into that, I'm going to introduce you to my co-host, Leanna Renee Hieber.
Hi, friends. I just want to say both to the authors that are joining us today, thank you all. We're thrilled to have you. We can't wait to all be together in person again, but in the meantime, we're so glad that you're joining us virtually. We always support Women in Need, WIN NYC. That's our house charity. If you can, please hop over to their site. It's winnyc.org. If you can donate, if you can spare that right now, it's really needed. As you can imagine, domestic violence has been on the rise. WIN NYC helps women and their children escape domestic violence situations and create a safe haven for them. And there's a lot of resources that WIN does, and they do it really well. And we've been supporting them for 11 years. So if you can hop over there, please do. Also, Madam X has a GoFundMe too for their wonderful staff. Alex, our bartender, has been a great gentleman to us for 11 years, and we would love to continue supporting him. I'll be live tweeting this when this goes up over at Lady Jane's Salon on Twitter. So that's Lady Jane's Salon all the way through. And then you can get links to all of the charities and the Madam X fundraiser that we're supporting there. And we hope that you'll be tweeting along with us as we go, as we hear some wonderful romance. And I'm so grateful to our wonderful guest tonight for joining us. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Leanna. So we're going to jump right into it with the writers. And our first writer is, it's an awesome Harlequin story. It's a classic romance trope, the surprise baby that you don't know about, that you find out about years later. But one of the things that I really love about this story, then, now, always, is that Mona really uses the story as an opportunity to address some really interesting things about privilege and family and well, let me let her tell you about it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mona Shroff.
Hi, everybody. I am Mona Shroff, and I am super thrilled to be here with everybody virtually. As we are all doing that right now with Lady Jane's Salon. I'm still super excited. I'm pretending I'm in Manhattan and doing this anyway. Then Now Always is my debut novel. And in a nutshell, it's pretty easy to explain. Indian girls do not have babies out of wedlock, but Maya did. And she managed to keep it from Sam. So now it's been 15 years, and she currently has to tell him that their 15-year-old daughter is in trouble with the law. In this scene that I'm going to read to you, Maya has found Sam and managed to convince him to at least have a cup of coffee with her. So I'm just going to get right to it. "What do you want, Maya?" Sam snapped at her. She tensed. "I need your help with a legal matter." Sam reverted to silence. He replaced the lid and took another sip of coffee. "I know you're well connected, and I also know you're engaged to be married and that you're on your way to a congressional bid." Maya paused for a sip of her coffee. "Google." Sam's response was terse. His gaze did not waver. "Yes, well." She flicked her eyes to the table next to them as a woman in business attire pushed her laptop aside and placed her hand on top of her companion's. Maya shifted in her seat. "Anyway, I want you to know that I'm not trying to disrupt your life in any way. I know that we left things badly, but I'm desperate." "We?" Sam raised his eyebrows at her. Maya sighed. "Me, I, whatever. Not the point." It was Sam's turn to sigh. "What is the point, Maya?" He gestured with his coffee cup. He was half finished. Maya took a deep breath. "Just do it. It's for Samantha. The point is, that I have a daughter who is being wrongly accused of drug possession and assault, she began. The authorities and some parents want to press charges. The school may expel her. She was already in trouble for shoplifting, so I can't have anyone press charges. She paused for breath. Sam furrowed his brow. You have a daughter? She's a really good kid, just made a mistake and ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Sam said nothing. For the first time, Sam leaned in towards her, but his face was still a mask. When did you get married? Maya gulped her coffee and crossed and uncrossed her legs. She glanced at the neighboring table. The man reached out to the woman and tucked back a stray lock of her hair that had come loose. She smiled at him. Maya cleared her throat. I didn't. Sam followed her gaze, then quickly turned back to her, looking at her for a moment, just as he used to all those years ago. Their eyes accidentally locked and the moment evaporated. He spoke slowly, as if yellow caution signs surrounded her. Where's her dad? And why can't he help? Sweat beaded on her upper lip and forehead, and Maya fought the urge to wipe at it while still avoiding Sam's eyes. He's not around. She rallied and took the offensive. Why else would I come to you after all this time? Sam stared at her, biting his bottom lip and shaking his head. Maya tucked a piece of hair behind her ear and opened her mouth, prepared to beg him for help. This is not my area, Sam said, his voice matter of fact. Not to mention my fiancée would have a fit if she knew we were even talking. He stood, pulled out his wallet, and handed Maya a card. Give this person a call, mention my name, she'll help you out. Maya looked up at him, her heart racing and speech failing her. What was happening? No, Sam, wait. He put on his coat. Panic made her voice squeak. An attorney implies that I need the charges dropped. Can't we just never get them started? Her stomach churned as Sam picked up his bag. Sam shook his head. No, Maya, sorry. He studied her face for a moment, and Maya caught a glimpse of something warm in his melted chocolate eyes. It was gone as fast as it came. He started out the door. Maya was momentarily frozen in her chair. Sam was her only option. Samantha could not be arrested. She grabbed her phone and chased him outside. He was almost a half a block away. The sun had set completely, and the fall chill had turned bitter cold, but she barely noticed it as she ran to catch up to him. Sam, wait. Miraculously, he did. Look, Maya spoke quickly lest he walk away. I run the bakery. Well, it's not so much just a bakery anymore. Never mind. The point is that I don't have the funds for an attorney right now. Maya, I'll call her. I'll give her a heads up that you'll be calling. I'll ask her to waive. No, wait. Tears of desperation burned behind her eyes. Don't cry. Don't cry. If they press charges, there's a good chance she'll have to go to juvie. No, she won't. This person is very good. No, Sam, you don't get it. Maya almost shouted at him as she fumbled with her phone. She was shivering and her phone wouldn't respond immediately to her touch. It was taking forever to get what she wanted on the screen. I think I understand the law, Sam said with exaggerated patience. It'll be fine. Sam, just stop talking and look. She finally found the screen she wanted and shoved her phone in front of him. This is Samantha. She turned 15 in April. Sam's features slowly froze as he took in the picture. His eyes held an expression Maya had never seen and couldn't define. Samantha's eyes were a dazzling chocolate brown, and she had curly, chestnut-colored hair. Her skin, like Sam's, was the color of a milky latte. Maya's heart thumped as she watched him turn pale and meet her eyes. He knew, but she still had to say it. She's yours, Sam. Samantha is our daughter. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mona. It's fantastic. And, from there, the story jumps right. I'm not going to give away too much, but I am going to say that from there, we do find out how they met, and it's really cool. And I'm looking forward to everybody discovering this book as well. So, going to launch into our next author, who is actually our thriller writer. This is her first book, The Lost Night. It came out a while back. It's a great story about a woman who was part of a circle of friends that one of them died, and years later she's looking into it and things are not what they seem. But that is not the book that we're going to hear from today. She actually has a new book out, and she's going to tell us all about it right now if I unmute her, which I am doing right now. And ladies and gentlemen, Andrea Bartz.
Thanks so much. So the book that I'm going to be reading from today just came out in the end of March. So it's a new release, and it's called The Herd. And it's about an exclusive elite all-female co-working space in New York City called The Herd, emphasis on the H-E-R, that is sort of rocked by the mysterious disappearance of its glamorous CEO and founder, Eleanor. And so it is not romance, but like, you know, the same way that many romance novels have some thriller elements running through and some surprises and twists, there are a few sort of ribbons of romantic love in this as well. And so I chose an excerpt from an early chapter. It's told from the perspective of Katie, who's a young journalist who just moved back to New York after a stint of book research blew up in her face in the Midwest. And she is an old friend of Eleanor, and Eleanor, that CEO, and is hoping to gain entry into the herd. So far, she's just a guest. And so Eleanor has not vanished yet, obviously. So I'm going to jump in. And by way of setup, they're in the herd. They're in the co-working space after hours, in the dark. Our heads snapped toward the entryway. A single phone was ringing, louder and louder. Shit, she clattered off toward the front desk, and I dashed after her, my heart thumping. What? I forgot he's coming tonight, she replied as she reached the front desk and lifted the vintage-looking phone there. This is Eleanor. She listened for a moment, nodding, then said, right, the router. Actually, she looked up. Katie, the Wi-Fi hasn't been working for you, right? What's that? She leaned away, listening again. Oh, perfect, I'll buzz you in. She replaced the handset and felt for a button under the desk. Ted's coming up. Did you ever meet him when you visited us at Harvard? I don't think so, I replied. His name's familiar, though. We've been friends since we were born. He's our handyman, and good with IT stuff, too. I let out a bark of laughter. I thought the best man for the job is a woman. Her shoulders tensed, and instantly I regretted it. There are amazing women in every field of IT, obviously, but I haven't had the energy to seek out and hire one when Ted is so great. Low-hanging fruit, you know? Low-hanging fruit, huh? We'd both missed the stuff of the elevator doors sweeping open, and now a man stood just outside them, tall and lanky, with a baseball cap set at a jaunty angle. He smiled through a thick brown beard. Tell me how you really feel, Eleanor. Just bragging about my one and only secret male employee. She trotted over, and he pulled her into a big bear hug. So big, in fact, I'd be waggling my eyebrows were she not a married woman. She's referring to my manual labor services, by the way. I'm not an escort. Hey, manual labor is just a connotation away from hand job, I blurted out, then blushed, hot pink. Shut the fuck up, Katie Bradley. Eleanor's brow levitated from puzzled to surprised, while Ted burst out laughing, a big, booming guffaw. Can I hug you too? He crossed the room and wrapped his arms around me. It felt like hugging an old friend. He smelled like fabric softener and cedar. Ted, Katie, Ted, Eleanor called. She's writing a book about a weird backwoods tech company, and you do weird backwoods tech stuff, so you'll get along just fine. She reiterated the router issue, and cheerfully he set about fixing it, murmuring things about firmware and caching and packet overload, which also sounded at least a little dirty. In a dramatic climax, we all gathered around my laptop as I toggled Wi-Fi off and on. Please don't let anything embarrassing be visible on my screen. And then we cheered when CNN.com appeared in my browser. Should we get a drink to celebrate? I asked. Ted said he couldn't, although he really wished he could, holding my gaze as he answered. Eleanor checked the time. I could do a quick drink, she announced. Daniel and I have dinner reservations at 7:30, but just around the corner. Actually, there's a bar in the front. Let's just go there. In the dim bar, Eleanor expertly commandeered 2 stools. The hook placement under the bar meant I had to straddle my laptop bag, and the chair's dimensions were a poor fit, the lower dowel too high for my heels. I flopped around as Eleanor sat like a damn queen, smiling from her throne until the bartender approached. She ordered Prosecco, and I followed suit, and they arrived in pretty coupe glasses. To your triumphant return to New York, she called. She held my eyes as we clinked glasses, which is, of course, how you're supposed to toast, but while meeting her gaze, I sloshed bubbly onto her knee. It's fine, she giggled, snatching napkins from a stack. Well, now I'm definitely not getting into the herd, I joked. She looked out from her lap and made sort of an empathy pout. I'm sorry. I hate that you're still coming in as a guest. I've been so bad about processing paperwork this week. I've got that event on Tuesday. You're coming, right? Of course. We're all dying to hear the news. No hints? She cocked a pretty eyebrow and sworn to secrecy. Verbal non-disclosure agreement? Press embargo? I'm good at keeping secrets, you know. She laughed. I would if I could, but it's good news for everyone. She pushed her hair over her shoulder and changed the subject. And I am skipping a brief portion. How are your folks? I asked. I'd met them once or twice while Eleanor was in college, and they were the kind of parents everyone adores. Gregarious, kind, welcoming, funny. One of many reasons I was sad I couldn't attend her wedding. I missed my chance to see them. Oh, Gary and Karen are as ridiculous as ever. My dad retired in September, so they're getting used to both being at home. They're talking about buying a trailer and driving around to a bunch of national parks. I told them I can't see it. Gary and Karen in a trailer? They were both silver-haired and well-kempt, waspy, but Catholic. They need to bring a documentary crew, right? She giggled. But don't worry, it's a luxury trailer. They bought a pickup truck so they can pull it. No, I'm serious. She shook her head, grinning. They were like, we thought we'd be okay with this smaller model, but then we went to a car show and realized we'd need the 400 square foot one to be comfortable. It's bigger than my first apartment. Remember on Ludlow? With the stray cat on the fire escape and the heaters that sounded like a drum solo? Do I ever? We'd had so many good times in that apartment. Our mouths bruised with boxed red wine, Mickey and Eleanor confidently advising me on how to ask out the cute guy in my stats class. There was the night a bird had flown through the open window, leading to much shrieking and flapping of towels. And another one, Mickey, insistent that Trader Joe's $2 truck wasn't as awful as Eleanor believed, had set up a blind taste test, complete with classical music and a classy array of cheeses. Eleanor had sniffed out the cheap stuff instantly. We were so dumb, she remarked. Who was that friend of yours you were in love with? And we'd spend all night texting with him, pretending it was just you? That's right, Devin. I saw he's engaged now. He moved back to Chicago. I watched the strings of bubbles in my glass shimmer like tiny pearl necklaces. You were so much cooler than him. She took another delicate sip. Have you started dating now that you're back? Are you on all the apps? I froze and thought back to just a couple months ago, the giddy state when my brain wasn't my own, when every sight or sound or conversation funneled my thoughts back to Chris. Chris would find this hilarious. Chris has a crazy story about four-wheelers. The glorious addiction, the pink flashes of desire, and now the pain in my chest like a sickness. Chris will never, ever speak to you again. Chris is the reason you know how ambulance lights look carved up through winding country roads. I don't really have time to date right now, I said, like every single person in history.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Andrea. Our third author tonight, her last book, An Especially Hot Summer, is one that I would recommend to everybody particularly because we are holding the salon in June at the start of Pride Month. And I think that particular story is a great story for Pride. But again, not the story we're going to be hearing from tonight. We are instead going to be hearing from her latest book, Valentine's Day Deferred, which has in fact been deferred until the summer. It's a brand new release, and we're thrilled to hear about it and to hear from it from Chelle de Notte.
Okay. So hi, I'm Chelle, and I will be reading from Valentine's Day Deferred, which will be out in June. Certainly it can be enjoyed as a standalone, but my main character, Janelle, has a blink and you'll miss her cameo in Christmas Time in New York City and plays a more substantial role in An Especially Hot Summer. Additionally, the protagonists in those books serve as side characters in this story, where some rules were made to be broken. For example, settle down and raise a family. That was the plan for Janelle until a few years of happy couplehood changed her mind. Now, years after the divorce, she lives alone in New York while her ex has a new baby. Go into the family business. It seemed like good advice for Kyle at first, but the discovery of a new talent makes this unsustainable and undesirable. Celebrate love on Valentine's Day. When a pipe bursts at the Upper East Side restaurant Janelle manages, a happy Valentine's Day wouldn't appear to be in store for anybody. But then again, Kyle is on the repair crew and the two catch each other's eyes. Finally, date someone your own age. Is age just a number or a chasm that threatens a newfound love? That's for Janelle and Kyle to find out as the connection they share gets hot enough to thaw a New York City winter. Well, Janelle and Kyle officially meet when he's one of the plumbers who comes in for repairs, but throughout the whole job, neither of them can shake the feeling that they've seen each other before. The scene I'm going to read is the one where the penny drops. It starts from her point of view and then shifts to his. Time. Janelle's personal trainer looked up with a beaming expression. Well, Janelle, I am pleased to say that you are in better shape than some of the 20-somethings I've been seeing. Good job. Thanks, she gasped as she got her breath back. So what do you want to do from here? He asked. Do you have any other goals in mind, or would you rather I made a plan to help you keep up your good work? Maybe we better do something for maintenance, she said. I'm happy with the way I look and feel now, and I'm going to have to buy a whole new wardrobe if I lose too many more inches. A few minutes later, as Janelle went about her newly planned workout, her legs pumped while her mind wandered over everything she'd just discussed with her trainer. Now that she thought about it, the workout gear she had on was a little looser than she remembered that fall, and her time at the gym was making her less self-conscious at the thought of taking off her clothes for someone else. Her eyes widened. Where had that thought come from? Naturally, she'd had a few relationships and flings since her divorce had been finalized, but the stress of starting a new job last spring had forced all that to the back burner. What was bringing it to the forefront all of a sudden? The recent Valentine's Day holiday? An eagerness to see what her new body could do? She didn't know, but suddenly couldn't wait to find out. The thought boosted her energy, and the session was over before she knew it. After she dropped her sweaty towel in a bin, she headed downstairs to the locker room where she'd stashed her sweats. As nice as this gym's locker room and toiletries were, she'd still rather shower at home. As she headed past the wait area for the exit, a muscular guy in a tank top and track pants nearly walked into her. No surprise there, seeing as he was bent over his phone. Hey, watch it, she said indignantly. Oh, sorry. He looked up to face her, and her eyes widened at the sight. Kyle? The astonished sound of his name jerked Kyle out of the zone and made him take a second look at the person who delivered it. The short woman was dressed in shapeless sweats. Her dark hair was in a haphazard ponytail, and she wasn't wearing any makeup. But there was no mistaking those eyes, now wide with shock. Janelle? You go here too? Yeah, I go here too. I knew I'd seen you somewhere before. Her eyes narrowed a bit. Should have seen it sooner. You're the guy who's always on his phone. I have to be to get my records up for my social media. He looked a little more closely at her and suddenly realized where he might have seen that pinched expression. Maybe if she'd been tapping her toe at the restaurant, he might have picked up on it sooner. You're the one who was always so impatient. The words came out more harshly than he'd intended, and her eyes narrowed. Well, if you hadn't kicked me off my machine, maybe I'd look a little friendlier. It was nothing personal. I just needed the light so I could shoot a good video. She didn't look mollified, and he hastened to add, "But that was a dick move on my part. I wanted to apologize that day, but you'd already left. Now that I see you again, can I buy you a drink to make up for it?" "That'd be a good start. Thank you." She smiled and followed him to the juice bar by the entrance. As they waited for her green juice and his protein shake, she took off her oversized sweatshirt. The aspiring trainer in him noticed that her upper arms were showing the beginnings of muscle tone. The red-blooded male in him couldn't help admiring the way the tank top glided over her body, showing peaks of unblemished skin and a bright sports bra. "So how'd it go today?" he asked as they took the drinks to a table by the window. The trees on the street weren't much to look at now, but this would be so much better by this time next month. "It was more of an evaluation than a workout, but I'm doing pretty well," she said. "How was your workout?" "Oh, ab day is always a good one. It feels good to work, and that's really popular with my followers." "You keep talking about what you do online," she said. "What are you, a model, an e-trainer, something else?" "I guess you could call me an influencer," he said, trying not to smile too much at her veiled compliment. "The fitness community is pretty active online with people sharing workouts and tips. I got in on it when I started coming here mostly to keep myself accountable. Pics or it didn't happen, but now it's gotten bigger than that. I'm studying for my personal training certification, and I've built up a pretty solid following of people who want advice until then." She gave him such a long, appraising look that he grew self-conscious. "Do I have something on my face?" He swiped at his lips for any trace of his sludgy-looking drink that might have escaped. Janelle shook her head with a smile. "No, I'm just impressed. Working in restaurants and hospitality all my life, I'm pretty used to seeing waitstaff who also work as models, actors, dancers, whatever. But this is a whole new sideline on me. How'd you sign up for that?" "You don't exactly get to choose what goes viral," he said, echoing the same explanation he'd given his parents and colleagues ever since this had started. "Somewhere along the way, people decided they liked what I was posting, and I built up a small following that's getting bigger every day. Then more power to you." She grinned, and her admiration lifted Kyle's already high spirits, sending a thrill through his recently worked muscles. And that's just the beginning for Janelle and Kyle.
Fantastic. Wonderful. That just great. And I would remind everybody that that's Valentine's Day Deferred, and it's coming out in June. So the next person that I want to introduce is my other co-host, Hope Tarr, and she managed to log in. I know a lot of people have been having trouble with Zoom on the day that we're recording this, but she's here, and I want her to be able to say hello to everybody out there as well. Hope?
Thanks, everyone. I so enjoyed these readings. I'm so glad that I was able to resolve my technical difficulties to hear them. Mona, I love A Great Second Chance at Love story. That was brilliant. Andrea, there's been so much buzz about The Herd. I'm really looking forward to delving in. And Chelle, I mean, I love the sort of the kind of the gym setting and the body image issues that sort of allow this person to kind of morph into her best life. I'm looking forward to your book, and I'm happy to have Valentine's in June or any month. I know Leanna also already talked about our beloved charity, Women in Need, Inc., or WIN. You can go to the Lady Jane's website, which is ladyjanesalonnyc.com. You can find the link to WIN if you want to give even a $5 donation, which is our normal door entry fee. You can also find the May Salon, which Ron also moderated wonderfully for us. The link will be there to the YouTube link. And otherwise, I'm thrilled to be here with you. I hope that we can soon lift a glass at our beloved Madam X. And again, thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Hope, and thank you again, Leanna. So to reiterate what Hope just said, this salon is going to be online basically as long as I have a YouTube account, and that's true of the May Salon as well. And if you want to find out what is going on next with the salon, you can either visit our website, ladiesjanesalonnyc.com. We also have a Facebook page, and we have a Twitter account. So, there are any number of ways, and certainly Hope and Leanna and I are all online as well. So, there are any number of ways to find out what is happening next with Lady Jane Salon, whether it's back at Madame X or here on the internet. I want to thank you all for joining us to hear from Chelle and Mona and Andrea today, and that you will join us again whenever that is, wherever that is. Thank you so much.